Hi guys, welcome back to my study live stream. Now it's 22 o'clock 13. It's quite late to begin a study live stream, but I still want to start it. And the aim was the same, that to find the certain good topic and write expose. Like this task was quite for a quite long time period. So yeah. Okay, let's start. Okay, moment. I will tell you guys several thoughts which I thought today. Yeah, moment. Today I think about. Oh, yesterday I'm not sure that I think about a problem or a question about the difference between the famous company and the company which in common but not so famous, or can tell them like famous firm, but comparable in a comparable way, that that somehow we can say that some company or some firms that they carry out much more value or more market value than others. So we admire those kind of companies as famous company or famous firm. And those, for example, the company and the firm that based in Germany, then we call them like normal firm, because it's not because that they don't carry on or bring much value as the company which we mentioned admired of, but maybe it's just because in Germany those companies was too common and too popular, and so that we don't treat them as the same type of firms or company. This kind of talks that was relevant with my major and with my study is some random thoughts, and it's not just like some profession some some formal comments, but yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah, yesterday. I think it's yesterday or today. I'm not sure. So, for example, like if one firm that they don't carry on much value, or they don't have much market value, and then what they will then it means they will easily be beaten, and they will treat others not so well, or they treat some very small value as very important. And once, for example, an employee that they did some mistakes in the company or in the firm, the employer that they did some mistakes in the firm, and the employee will be very angry even with a very little mistakes. But in the opposite side, For example, like a company that they really carry on a lot of market value, and they will not like they will give more tolerant, and they will give more appreciation and understanding to those kind of small mistakes to their employee, and that's quite different. Yeah. So that's a problem. That's a problem which not interesting, but I just think of like yesterday when I encountered two car companies, and their reaction was quite different. Like for example, I did the same thing. For example, I did same mistakes, and it is if this kind of mistakes in a small company that they treat very serious, and those kind of small mistakes maybe will bring them kind of lost, so that they may treat the employee very angry, and show a lot of emotions and a lot of stuff, emotions and so on. But on the opposite side, for example, like comparable, more or more valuable company that they maybe do not treat their employee, for example, like if they made small mistakes and so, and they will not judge them like very seriously. So that's kind of the thing which I think yesterday is interesting to think of, because before, for example, I don't want to mention the name of company, but I do think they treat the same thing or same mistakes like very differently. Yeah. So that's the first problem that which I was thinking of. And also the second thing to update is that today I found that my time was a little bit slowed down after 18 o'clock. It's a good sign, because I can feel like the time like between 18 o'clock and to 20 and 21, that was slowed down, and I even have time to go out and maybe just hang around here, hang out around here, and so on. So I think it's quite good. Otherwise, I always feel like time was go too fast. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll back to the article which I should read and write something about it. Yeah. And also the third thing that which I recently think of, I don't know. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated. I don't know whether to mention here is that right or not. Yeah. But today I just skip the news like every day, which I must see. Yeah. Okay. Now the third problem. And also, I was noticed something like recently about the consciousness state. and the reality which we live in, or at least I live in. And it is like it is like, for example, like in our reality that we live alone or we live whatever with others, but we live in personally, so in individual form. But in the consciousness level, and maybe many consciousness that share the same dimension or same certain dimension, and it just means that it just means okay, never mind. I just forget it. Also, that today I found something interesting. Not interesting, but I mean, recently I encountered with some consciousness that they are very intense, and their time dimension was very concentrated. So so that so that it seems like in that dimension that if you want to solve any problem, that will solve directly and immediately, because that the competitive energy was quite intensive. So so that if you encounter with those kind of consciousness level, you will feel like your time lost very fast. So that, but otherwise, on the opposite side, that you can also feel like your problem, like some problem or some issues that cannot directly resolve or dealt in for example, like in my reality, and those kind of problem or issues will transform through time into another dimension, and will solve easily and very quickly, because like as we said, as we always said, or at least as I always thought of, that like in my reality, for example, like something which I don't take care of, or I don't think that's very important, maybe that was very important in another dimension. And another dimension means also some reality in the earth. so um so um so in this sense, um so in this sense, recently I felt like my problem was solved a lot, and like my problem, and I felt tension in my reality, like spread into their reality, counts nothing, and it is like I like tense intensity of the suffering of me, equal their pain and their suffering, and that means that the problem will be easily solved. Otherwise, if I only exist in here, and it will maybe cost like 2 years to solve those kind of problems. But also because of the energy was quite intense, so like the interaction between those kind of thoughts, those kind of minds was very intensive, and um, was only stays there after very intense competition and intense interaction. And what stays, it counts, but very few. And but what counts actually very few, like through the him on here, like mm, through intensive interaction between many competitive minds, um, many problem or issues will be balanced out. So it will left few things and few valuable things in that dimension, and many things they will not notice, and many things they will not think. They don't need, even something that they don't need to know what that actually is. But yeah, but otherwise, through this kind of intensive interaction, and in another dimension, for example, like in my reality, and I will felt like my problem was quite solved, and in intentionally way to solve those kind of problems. Absolutely, I know that those kind of intense energy that also costs. It is like a mind game, but I don't want to call it like mind game, because that will link to long ago AFS friends. So we don't have much contact after many years. So I will not think, okay, it still have some linkage between, or links between, and it doesn't matter. But the problem is, I don't want to call it like mind game, or even don't want to call it as game, because if you want to call anything here as game, and you don't treat them right, or you don't treat this happening right, so so that's a problem. And besides recently I also think of yeah. Oh, cool. Too many things to say. Okay, let's yeah, let's begin to read. Yeah, okay, I understand something. Sometimes I as just, or we have some we encounter something that we have noises in our mind, or in, yeah, why. Recently I understand why we have sometimes that the noises just around our mind and so on tell us everything which we don't want to listen to, but they still think they're right, and they can bugger in your brain and in your mind. Recently, so I suffered through this for many, for like at least 3 to 4 years, but recently I finally understood why this kind of noises comes from, or what they want actually. It is because that like for example, in the consciousness level, in the consciousness round, that many person or many people, they share the same consciousness environment, same conscious same consciousness dimension, and they share this, and so they know each other, and but in reality they live individually, so they don't have much thing with each other, with each other. So it is means that, for example, like in my reality, I will hear some voices that we encountered in the consciousness level, but they they all they or she or he, that they will not exist in my reality, at least for a moment, or for many years, that they will not come into my reality, but we are in the same consciousness round, or we are in the same consciousness level, and we perceive each other, and we know what's actually each other's mean, and what's they want, and so on. So in this sense, and as for example, like in my reality, I will always hear something like someone said, you don't did it right, and you have some bad intention, or you have some intention that will not was not the same as me, and I will judge it, and I will say everything. It is because that your consciousness was still stay in that place. For example, like the student apartment which I lived before, and my consciousness and my memory is still there, and so the people who now still living in that student apartment, even already moved like for 1 year, and they are still here, they're still there, and so the interaction with kind of minds in my minds there. So in my reality, at least they will not come into my reality, and that don't worry about, and they will not encounter with my consciousness and with my mind, and that don't need to worry about. But the problem is that if my mind will still stay in that student apartment, and they will come to interact with those kind of minds, because they are living right now in that student apartment, so it will affect my reality. Like in my reality, will still hear the voices from that student apartment. Yeah, unless I forget everything which happened in the student apartment, then I can be free and be cleaning and out of this kind of conflicting student apartment. Yeah, that's what I want to say. Okay. Um. Okay, the next thing which I want to say is that I always questioning the motivation. And before 2017, I was question like motivation for study or motivation for wake up or study motivation and so on. Sometimes I will listen some very motivational music, um, but only can get a temporary motive. But now I'm very clear about it and what's the motivation and what's the intensive and what's the driven, what's the drive behind everything. And it's about yeah, okay, cool. Then that's the last thing for now which I want to say. Okay. Okay, see you guys.